Hello everyone, Coach Dave here, and welcome to another race commentary, another FIA race, this time at Suzuka in the Super Formula cars. Again, I didn't do much practice for this. I did about 30 minutes before the race itself in an open lobby, just to get a feel for the car, and then I tried to also set some top 10 EU times, or EMEA, which I didn't manage to do because for some reason in the Super Formula cars and also the Group 2 cars I tend to struggle a little bit more, and I have no real idea why. If I watch my lines compared to the top times, they all look very similar, but it seems that the top GT drivers are just carrying a little bit more speed in every corner, braking a little bit later. I suspect that's the reason, and I just can't quite get there. I think you need a bit more practice to maximize these cars. Anyway, we're still in quite a top tier here for this FIA race, and this is the quali lap. Overall, I was pretty happy with it. As you could see in Sector 1 and Sector 2, I was theoretically purple, obviously bearing in mind that some other guys were improving on their laps, but I didn't use the full KERS system, or whatever the overtake button. So in the Super Formula cars you have an overtake button, and when I crossed the line at the end of this lap, I still had 50% left, so I definitely underutilized it. I was pressing it as much as I could, but I probably should have done more, but that was again related to lack of practice. And eventually I crossed the line about 1.2 seconds off the pace, and as you can see, Coach Dave is really not stoked. Poor guy. What is he going to do? Anyway, as you can see here, 2,700 points available in this group. Not that it's really that important for me, to be honest, because I'm not doing the full championship here. We cut to the start, traction controller 1 for everyone, just waiting for the lights to go out. And my start was average, to be fair. And again, it was related to the deployment. So I short shifted to third. I think that was just a mistake, just a hot finger. Double shifting by mistake and then deploying, and then there was anarchy up front, and immediately, given the nature of the start, I decided I'm going to go full aggressive and again try and climb my way up the field as much as I can. My strategy was to run softs at the start, then for the middle stint go to the medium tire, and then end the race on the soft tire. The racing though was pretty fun. We got, if you look at my rearview mirror, there was a lot of aggression there, and also up ahead there was quite a tight field of drivers who, well, everyone was pushing and the racing was quite close. Obviously a lot of bumping and barging, which wouldn't happen if this was real life Formula racing, but you know, we're playing a game here, so everyone relax. It is a game and we're playing within the rules of the game, so there's going to be some bumping. It is quite aggressive. But it was super fun. I had a lot of enjoyment. I had a lot of fun in this race. I have been playing iRacing more frequently recently, and now I finally have a PC. So for those of you who are wondering when you're going to make a set of Corsa videos and iRacing videos, that will come soon. Anyway, in iRacing, you have damage, and that is a major factor in how aggressive you can be with other cars. So I do wish that in the FIA races at least in the FIA races, that we had some more realistic damage, or more sensitive damage, so that if you hit other cars, you'd lose your front wing, etc. Whereas at the moment, it's a bit like bumper cars. Nevertheless, you enter this game knowing what you're getting, so you got to play within that framework. So to the best of my ability, I was using the overtake button at the beginning of the race to try and defend my position and stay in contact with the guys in front of me. As you can see, there's a major snake of cars, so I didn't want to lose touch with them, because if they tend to make a mistake or something happens up in front, I want to be able to capitalize on that, on those mistakes. Getting a run here on TX3 in front of me, in the slipstream nicely, going through the Degners now. In real life, this first Degner here has a massive curb on the inside, and if you hit that curb, you're spinning around or crashing. I know that because my very first flying lap around Suzuka in real life, I hit that curb and spun around. So yeah, we got Francis going for the mother of all sends down the inside. We touch and rub wheels, which pushes me wide and then gives Mackie speed it is Mackie Speed. Yes, Mackie Speed, a run down the inside, but I'm using my deploy button to get the run down to Spoon so that he can't overtake me. I really don't want to lose too many positions. That move at the hairpin by Francis was unexpected, so I would not have closed the door as aggressively if I knew he was sending it down the inside, because then I wouldn't have lost as much momentum. Nevertheless, it was no problem. I still have some overtake available, and I'm still in the fight here, sitting around the 10th place. This seemed to be the place that I sat around the whole race, and my target has been to finish inside the top 10 in these FIA races with no practice, but I think I'm taking it a little bit too literally, so need to get a hold of that, because as much as, there's a balance between being ambitious and, I don't know, just accepting your fate. So I want to push a little bit harder, and I really do want to finish a little bit higher than the top 10. So future target is to be further up the grid. I definitely didn't maximize in qualifying, as you could see the disappointment, so there is space for improvement there. Getting really close now to the battle. Small tap to Francis, unintentional, and just kind of like wondering, where should I go here? That it's very easy to crash and send people off the track in this game, so you want to be quite careful. Dirty Dave has made 1 or 2 appearances already this year or in this season, and I'm just trying not to bring him out at every single corner. Francis, though, Dirty Francis is in full attendance, and he sends it down the inside, knocking out TX3. I can't pronounce his actual username, so for now we're just going to reference his team. Again, Mackie Speed gets a run on the exit of the hairpin. He had superior traction to me or something. He was just getting much better run on the exit, and I again defended with the overtake button. Now exiting Spoon, as you can see, like super cool slipstream. Do I go for 130R move? Not enough momentum, decide to back out of it. I think by now I've run out of the overtake, and think about a move down the inside, and I do actually go sort of do a half move, and the TX3 full on sends it, so I wouldn't have actually made it. I may have actually bumped him off the track if I tried to go down the inside, and I would have got the penalty there, so glad I didn't go for it. Now getting a slipstream down into turn 1, and I have a really good speed, good momentum down the inside. I was expecting him to open up the corner here, but he keeps closing it, and we bump and he goes wide. I've watched that move a few times. Initially I was like, I should have maybe backed out of the move, but upon reflection, I think he also should have given him a bit more space. So I'm going to stand here and say, obviously I'm going to say this, racing incident. Okay, so now into 9th, and hopefully we can catch the guys ahead. You can see P6 is right there. If I can get into 6, I'd be really stoked, or even P5 if it was possible. So I'm really focused on that, and try my best to try and catch these guys ahead. But it seems that they also settled down a little bit and weren't actually going for any big moves. So as you climb further up the grid in these higher tier FIA races, the racing does get a bit cleaner, but also wiser. So the guys stop making massive moves and lunges down the inside, and the whole train itself tends to move at a faster pace. So even though there's a big group in front of me and I want to try and catch them, right now it's not possible. So what ends up happening is SRC, Mackie Speed, and myself end up having a really epic battle, which we will be covering in a minute. But we are also approaching a phase of the race where the tires are starting to fall away. There is no concern for fuel consumption in this race, and I think it's realistic, because in Super Formula, as far as I remember, I think you don't do refueling on the short races. So anyway, we push ahead, and the point about the refueling thing is that it just removes a variable in the race in GT Sport where you can have some fun. So I switched to medium tire for the middle stint. I'm not sure if I boxed one lap too late compared to the others. I think I gained 1 position net. No, I lose 2 positions here. The 2 guys there, super aggressive again. Francis is on a mission. He really is. But someone, I think it was Yankee, he came around the outside going into 1, and we bumped and he went wide. So he went for quite an aggressive move. He was trying to get the move around the outside of me while I exited the pit lane, but I wasn't going to give any space. So you could say that I was technically into the corner first, but mate, if you're watching, wasn't intentional. It's just aggressive driving. So now we are with Mackie Speed. Now I think at this point here, we're on slightly different tyre strategies. It appeared like I had a bit more grip than him, so I'm not sure if he was going long. I go down the inside and just didn't anticipate how early he was going to brake. So I let him past. I didn't fight that one too aggressively because we did touch, and I wasn't trying to send him off the track for a late move down the inside of the hairpin. Pretending to go for an outside line into Spoon to get the undercut doesn't work. He's got me covered, and because of the speed of these cars, it's not really that easy. Someone ahead of us has a penalty, which brings us closer, but not close enough. And now I've got a nice run down to Spoon. There's definitely an effect with these cars where if you're in the dirty air, you get a lot of understeer, and it's difficult to follow, but it's not as bad as people make out. Going down for the inside, he brakes super late as well, and I decide to yield. He does a really good move where he stays around the outside into the first part of the chicane. Now I've got TRL behind me, top driver, obviously having a tough race because usually he's ahead of me. Mackie Speed goes to defend to the inside of T1. I wasn't never going to go for a move there because I didn't have the momentum down the straight to go for the inside line. I was thinking to myself, okay, let's just try and move later in the race. Keep in mind now that we are slowing each other down, and effectively the dream of the top 5 has now slipped away. So my focus now is just trying to gain a position, maybe 2, and finish the race cleanly. Keep in mind though that I still have to go to the soft tire, so this is technically meant to be my worst stint, but it's exasperated by the fact that I have to race with Mackie Speed. Nevertheless, this little race that we had together was awesome. So I get him on the braking into the hairpin. I close up, but he again gets a much better exit than me, so he's obviously has a little bit of a different technique. He's able to use the inside curb much more, whereas I always missed that curb. Going down now into Spoon, a little bit of understeer in the dirty air. I'm not sure why people make such a big deal of it. It really isn't that bad in my opinion. Yes, it does affect the handling a little bit. You get a bit of understeer, but it's not race ending. And to be honest with you, strangely, I find it that in the Group 2 cars, it's actually much worse. Okay, heading through 130R, going around the outside. I figured, last time I went for this move down the inside, he managed to stay on the outside in the chicane. So let me try be him in the next lap. He then gets the outside of me on the exit of the chicane, so credit to him there, but he loses momentum down the straight. I now have a mega slipstream, and definitely want to go for a move down the inside. Keep in mind though, with TX3 we touched, so I was a bit worried here, but Mackie Speed gives me the space, respectfully, like a gentleman. If you look in my rearview mirror, you could see that there was actually a gaggle of cars that were collecting up behind us. So now I'm ahead, I'm on the medium tire, and the aim here is just to get as good a lap as possible before my stop. So I was going to shorten the stint as much as possible and run a much longer stint on the soft tire. So we jump ahead. I think I only do 2 flying laps on this tire after the fighting with Mackie Speed. And now we're going to the box. And I make a critical error. The medium tire is flashing, so I think that's the tire I have to go to for some reason. But I'm super confused, and I select it again. What a nightmare. So now I'm going soft, medium, medium. And the medium tire is about a second a lap slower. However, the whole time I did that, I wasn't entirely sure. I was a bit confused. I was wondering why was the medium tire flashing, indicating that I should use it or something like that. Because I know that in the FIA races, you have to use both tires in the new format, which is awesome. But I think they could improve the interface a little bit there. Basically, what that meant was the icon that is flashing is the tire that you're currently on. It's not the tire that you have to go to. So, what a mess. Anyway, and as you can see here, this face here is the realization. What just happened? Oh, shh. Upon the realization that we're on the medium tire, I now have to, I have 2 choices. I could box and go for a soft tire. Now keep in mind that the pit stop here is only 4 seconds long, so you only lose 4 seconds. But to be honest with you, I didn't really think of that during this moment. Maybe it would have been an option, but given that other people would have also been on the soft tire during this phase, I don't think I would have gained any places in the long term, and you could see it wasn't that easy to overtake, and there's a high risk of getting a penalty for bumping people around. So we've got to stick to the medium, which I end up doing. And it's now a case of just putting my head down and trying to catch the guy in front. I've now effectively given up on any positions up ahead. So muzzle Todd is the next target. And basically we just got to string some laps together on this medium tire and make the most of it. So a little bit of coaching now. Given that these cars have a lot of downforce in the game, the target is to carry as much speed through the corners as possible, as opposed to the GT cars, which are good at braking and good at accelerating but bad at turning. These cars are pretty much good at all of them. So you want to maximize, as with any car, you want to maximize its strong characteristics. So in the GT cars, you minimize the weak ones by making your corners as short as possible, but because of the downforce in these cars, your corners can go on a little bit longer, and you can run much smoother lines without doing a V-shaped line to get the best lap time out of the car. Now, of course, in the details I can't really comment because it's clear that I'm still missing quite a bit of pace compared to the top guys, but the overall concept still applies. You can maximize corner length by running smoother lines and carrying as much speed through the corner as possible, whereas when the GT cars, like the Group 3s and Group 4s, you want to minimize the time that you spend in the corners, so you run shorter corners, shorter lines. And the net effect is that you try and straighten the car quicker in a Group 3 car or Group 4, whereas in these cars you don't have to straighten them up as quickly. You still want to minimize the amount of how would you explain, the amount of scrub that you put through the tire, just purely from a tire wear perspective, but also with more downforce in a car, the more grip you have, the less sliding that happens, and therefore the better tire wear that you get. So it's kind of like, it's a snowball effect. The less grip you have, the more sliding you get, the more tire wear you get, and the opposite is true for high grip cars. Up ahead, remember Francis, Dirty Francis, legend, should join my clan. Forget Ram for money to come join the Dirty Clan, Francis. We've got Muzzle Todd and Francis up ahead, and I'm doing whatever I can to catch these guys. Now I think at this moment that Muzzle Todd still has to do another stop, but you cannot be sure, and I'm still hunting for that elusive top 10. Currently I'm literally on P10, but it's not enough. I want to get inside there, and definitely next time I'll aim for a top 5. Heading out of the hairpin, going through the gears, I do now at this point wish that I'd saved a little bit of my overtake, but I think overall it was probably the right decision to defend against other guys. My mistake in this race was to go to another set of medium tires at the end, when that was I was aiming on being as strong as possible at the end of the race. On soft tire with low fuel, I think we could have made quite a few moves. So at the end of the day, I think a 39.5 on the medium was not so bad. This lap also ends up being a 39.5, so it was quite consistent. If you look at my Sector 1 and Sector 2 there, you'll notice I did a minus 154 and a plus 154. So I've never done that before. I've had 0.000s, but anyway. Muzzle Todd pits. I do another 39.5. So if I had the soft tire, a 38.5 would have been possible, because I do think that it's about 1 second a lap quicker. Speeding up ahead, we're going to jump to the last lap now. 1 lap to go, and the guys behind, who are either on fresher tires or better compound tire, they are really pushing like crazy. So I want to stay ahead, but also keep in mind that overtaking around here is not so easy. And to be honest with you, my tires were not in such terrible condition, so I just had to drive a smooth lap and not miss any apexes, maximize my braking, and I think I would have been okay. Going through the S's, I actually managed to pull away a bit, so even with the better tires, I was a little bit quicker through here. Even though they had better tires, I was quicker through here. And again, going through Degner's, I think it could be that Muzzle Todd has to defend from Yankee, but in the end, that doesn't concern me, that he has to defend. I just want to get away. I really wanted to catch up to Francis, because we had a really tough race or battle in the first few laps, and I wanted to get some revenge, if you will, but he was just a little bit too far ahead, and I was an idiot for putting on the wrong tire. But again, Gran Turismo, if you need any help with that interface, contact me. Okay, Heading out of Spoon now. The guys are, I think, at this point quite far away, so I'm pretty relaxed. But they end up getting a monster slipstream. So as I'm watching my rearview mirror, I'm like, holy crap, he must have saved some of his boost. But come to the middle of the track, I exit Spoon in the middle of the track, and it gives him no options. He gives me a light nudge. He probably would have lost his nose cone in real life, I mean his front wing. And I managed to save the day and cross the line in P9. So in the end, we got the top 10 without much practice, but I think we could have done much better. We underperformed on this one. Nevertheless, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this race. Thank you so much to my channel sponsors, and of course to my Patreon members who recently have been helping me get a PC. I've just got it, and I'm looking forward to producing some iRacing and Assetto Corsa videos. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you around the next lap. Cheers.